Hi everybody, welcome back to Lamppost Builds. My name is Jeff. Today I'm at a neighbor's house. He asked me to fix his fascia on his back patio. He's selling his house and the new buyer doesn't like a certain specific areas of his fascia that needs to be fixed. So we're here to do that today. Let me give you a look so you can see what it looks like. So what we're dealing with here is we've got some fascia that's kind of bad. It's not rotted. It's a little weathered. Maybe it's got some water damage to it, but you know what? We can actually patch this. If you wanted to, you could replace it, but if you look at this area, this whole area right here, it's going to be really difficult because you're going to have to take all this tile off. You're going to have to take the strip edge off, and you're going to have to replace these two pieces. Then you're also going to have some stucco repair as well. So we have the same issue on the other side. Let's take a look at that. So as you can see, we have the same problem right here. All right. And again, if you wanted to replace that, there's a lot of work involved. So I think it's probably best if we just patch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this old paint all the way down here where it's flaking off. I'm going to patch it, we're going to sand it, and we're going to repaint it and make it look new again. So that's what our goal is today. Not sure if I like these fascia clips that are on here, but let's get to work. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to scrape off all the old paint. We want to get rid of that so when we repaint the new stuff, it'll adhere to the fascia and the 1x4. You don't have to get every little speck of it, but you want to try to get as much as possible, at least the stuff that's already flaky. All right, so we got that, and we got a little bit here. And then we got this bottom stuff here. And like I said, I know the wood is good because it still sounds pretty solid. If it was completely rotted, I would say we replace the whole thing. But in this instance, like I said, a little bit of scraping, a little bit of patching, a little bit of sanding, a little bit of paint, make it look brand new again. Okay, that looks all right. And that's not too bad. It's this 1x4 that's really bad. It's flaking off everywhere. And I'm probably going to spend the next couple of hours cleaning up. Let me get that where I need it to be. So, like I said, I'm going to get all this scraped off. We're going to get it ready for patching to kind of get the idea of what we're going to do down this run right here. So let me get this done, and then we'll continue this video. Okay, so I have finished scraping all the paint, scraping everything that I can from here to here, all the way down on the 1x4, all the way down to the end and the other end of this on the other side. So what I'm going to do now is I want to kind of clean this up. So we have this, what's called a fascia clip. It's supposed to hold these two pieces together so it doesn't have a gap like that, but you know, over time it does happen. So what I'm going to do is, rather than try to beat on it with a hammer too much, because I don't want to loosen up these tiles and start making everything fall. I'm just going to use some screws, which again we'll paint these. So all right, so that's tightened up a little bit. Then we'll do the same thing on this side. All right, so at least that's going to hold them in place, so this cannot get any bigger. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and caulk this. And of course I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm also going to caulk this gap all the way down. Again, we want to make it look nice. So I have my caulking gun. Now for other areas, and again I'll show you at the other end, but other areas on the other end where this is all beat up, I'm actually going to use wood putty for that, and I will show you how to mix that up. But it's typical to put caulking in the gaps in fascia. It's pliable, it's paintable, and again it'll make it look like brand new once we're done. All right, so we have a little bit there, and you just, you know, basically take your finger, do something like that. It's okay to wipe it off on the wood, it won't hurt it. Now what I might want to do here, just because I want to make it look as neat as possible, is I might put a little extra there and use my putty knife. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. All right, and I have my putty knife, and I'm just going to run it straight across. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but you get the idea. There we go. And then we'll do that. Kind of come down across here. All right, so that's gonna dry. Once that dries, it'll look like wood again. Actually, I'm gonna scrape that off. Put a little more dab right here. Typically you can use your finger for this, but if you want to make like straight lines, you want to maybe use a putty knife. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm gonna go ahead and caulk this bottom. All right, we're gonna run our finger across there. You know, if you're worried about splinters, they make tools at Home Depot that you can use to do this. It's a little triangle tool. However, if you're like me, your hands are worn out, they're like sandpaper, you don't have to worry about splinters. All right, so this is the idea what I'm gonna do down this whole run right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna mix up some putty for the other side, and we will continue this. Okay, so as you can see, I have caulked this 1x4 in fascia all the way down, all the way along that, so there's no more gap. I've scraped all the paint, the old paint that is, all the chipped paint. Some of this stuff doesn't really need to come off, only when it's flaking. If you can see it physically flaking, then you want to scrape it, because otherwise if you start repainting flaky paint, the new paint's just going to come off. So I didn't need to use any putty. I was able to use some caulking. I secured the fascia clips a little bit better so this gap doesn't get any bigger over the future. But what we've done is we've gone down that whole side with caulking, make it look nice and neat. All right, and then we've taken care of this side as well. So this looks a lot better already. Then tomorrow I will be coming back to actually paint it. Hopefully I can finish this up and that's where we'll continue. So again, you don't necessarily have to replace pieces of wood unless they are really rotted. If they're rotted and fallen off, it's a good idea to replace them. But if they're still intact, and like these pieces are, they're still nailed, they still feel solid, you don't have to rip all this apart. It's too much work to take all this tile off and take all the drip edge off and take the 1x4 and everything and replace it. So this is a lot faster, a lot easier, and you can make it look brand new again with the right stuff. When I say the right stuff, so if I was going to use any wood patch, I would say this is probably the best wood patch to use. It's a dry powder. You mix it yourself with a little bit of water. The benefit to having dry plastic wood putty is the fact that you can keep it stored. It doesn't go bad. And then you can use what you want when you need it. If you buy stuff that's already mixed up, the problem with that is you'll buy it, you'll use a little bit, it'll sit in your garage or a cabinet somewhere, and the next time you want to use it, it will be no good. It'll be hard. So always buy the powder stuff. It also depends on what you're using too, or what you're using it for. What I was using was, just Alex's painting caulking. It's really easy to use. Again, you can buy a caulking gun at Home Depot for like $5, and a tube of caulk will probably run you about the same. So until next time when I paint this, we'll come back and we'll revisit this. Of course, I've got a little bit of cleaning up to do, apparently. I'll be taking care of that, but tomorrow we're going to paint this and we'll see how this turns out. Thank you for watching. Again, make sure you like, subscribe. If you have any comments, please let me know.